Well, hello, and welcome back. Thanks for joining in tonight. If you are on the actual real live stream, I just want to let you know that you can check the link in the comments and head on over to YouTube if you want to leave a comment, or check the link in the description if you want to leave a comment. And if you are not actually watching live, be sure to check the description for the Beyond Code Bootcamp playlist, where you may find the edited version of this video if it is up at that time. With that said, tonight, well, let me just go ahead and roll things and get us started, and then we'll dive right into the refactoring topic. So I'll roll this again. Oh. Well, hello, and welcome back. So tonight what we're going to do is refactor the blog that we created last time, well, that we've been working on. What we're going to do is, well, actually, we're not going to go straight into the refactor. We're going to add some navigation here. So right now, all we have is one style of page, and we're kind of abusing it to make it work both for the listing page as well as for the blog article page. And in this case, it looks like there's some missing style sheets since we built last time. Let me go ahead and build this again real quick and see if we don't get better results on that. Oh no, I moved the style sheet somewhere. That's okay, because that's exactly what we're going to be working with. All right, so if you've been following along, you should have now a build file where everything is being synced over. And you know what? I think I know exactly what we forgot to do with our deploy script, our build and deploy script. We forgot to copy over the special files that were in our assets directory. Oh, we didn't even have an assets directory yet. So we've got this GitHub Markdown. Here's what we're going to do. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to need another style sheet, and this is going to be another style sheet that I'm just going to go ahead and give to you. It's something I've been working on with a buddy of mine, and this will give us well, you'll see in a minute, but it'll give us kind of a decent header and footer to start from. So we've got something that looks a lot more like just.github.com with kind of a nice little header up here and a space for some links, and a footer down here and a space for some links. And by the way, of course, you should have your gist open so that you can be taking notes as we go along here, and then we can move that into your blog eventually. Okay. So what we're going to do is first fix the mistake from last time. We're going to create an assets folder. This is just a common name for a folder that holds basically static files, files that we're not going to change a whole lot, that are just used for part of our templates and stuff like that. So we're going to move this GitHub Markdown into the assets folder, and we're going to download another file, which I may have forgotten to put in the link in the description, but we're going to go ahead and get it right now. I'm going to put that in the comments on YouTube, and I'll update the description later on so that we have that in there as well. All right. But I'm going to go here to the beyondtheme.css, and we're just going to download this file. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to get the raw link, and then I'm going to use curl to download it. So curl-lo, and then put some quotes, download that, Command-K to clear the screen, and then we see we've got beyondtheme.css right here, and we're going to move that into the assets directory. Oh, and by the way, earlier you saw me do git mv. I think I may have forgotten to explain this. But when you have a file already checked in to Git, you can use git mv to let Git know that you're moving it and it should keep track of it. You can actually move something and then add it again later, but it's a little bit nicer if we use the git mv command for things that are already in the repository. Okay, so we can see that those things are there. We need to update our build script. to make sure that when we're doing the rsync, so I'm just doing / and then searching, that's the normal slash, and I'm searching for rsync in here. I'm pretty sure it's in here somewhere. Nope. Okay. I guess I need to add it in here. We've got a build directory, right? Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do at the very end here is I'm going to use rsync, and I'm going to copy everything from the assets folder into the build folder. We're just going to copy it in like that. So this is our build folder is containing the files that we're transforming and manipulating, and our assets folder is containing the files that we're just copying over straight, that we're not really manipulating or doing anything with, like our styles, and we might add a logo in there at some point or something like that. It's just a common convention to call that folder assets. There's a couple other common names as well, but this is the one I like to use. So we're going to update our build script there. And what that means is all the files that are in the assets, they're going to get copied into the build folder, which is then going to get copied into the deployment. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. Let's see. Yeah, we can just run build here. And then I should have a build folder. Yep. And I actually want to run the local deploy. So let me take a look in there in my hooks folder, not my hooks folder, my scripts folder. Do I have a local deploy? Yep. Okay, so it's going to run build, and then it's going to copy the build over. Yep, I just want to do that real quick. So we're going to run scripts local deploy with bash. And then let's check and see. This probably didn't fix our problem because we need to make sure that our style, where the style is coming from, is updated. So I'm going to go back into our template.html. And I'm just going to change, we need two things. We need to make sure that we're now referencing our style sheet from the assets folder, which is where it's being copied to. And then we're going to have a second CSS file that's beyondtheme.css. And I'm going to save this. I'm going to run that local deploy again. And then let's refresh it. Okay, cool. Now we're back to having a nice styled page. There we are. Yep, that's beautiful. A little wonky there. Oh, I know what's wrong there, but we're not going to fix that right now. That's okay. Okay, so and another bug fix I want to do before we dig into this is get rid of this created at. And this is actually going to be really good because it's going to help us understand what we need to do to refactor. Refactor meaning we're going to clean things up a little bit. We're going to do that tomorrow. Tonight, we're just going to get in a place where we need more refactoring. Okay, so where's created at? Let me search through here. Created at. Oh, bother. Is there more than one place? No. So I'm going to copy this line here. This looks like it is in our area where we're doing the build of all the articles, but this is not an article. This is our main home page. So let's go find the place where we're dealing with that. Okay, it is right here. And it looks like it would be really beneficial. We'll just leave this empty because we just want to get rid of it. We don't want to put a date. We could put the date of the most recent article or something like that, but we just want to get this to be empty. So what do we need to do here? It looks like we're probably going to need to do the same thing that we're doing up above. So I'm going to go back up. I'm going to hit Shift-N to go back and search back up. And I'm going to copy these, all four of these lines here. So I just did V to select and then Y to copy, or yank rather. I'm going to go back down and I'm going to paste. I'm going to create some space. I'm going to paste all four lines here. And then I'm doing Shift less than to unindent all of this. And let's just change this out for, okay, my partial is the same. Yeah, okay, but we do want to create a temp. And this one, let's call this index. And then we're going to get rid of my created, or rather, let's just do my created equals empty string. Let's do that. And I'll explain why we're going to do that probably tomorrow. So this will become an empty string. And then I guess what we need to do, actually, let me back up a little bit more. I'm going to DD to delete that. I'm going to leave my article here, my article. But we're going to call this index, is going to be the name of the article. So let's see if that does everything we need to do. I think that it will. I think that it will. So this will mean that our created date is empty and the article name is article. So we're going to keep this really similar to the code that we already have above. There we go. Yeah, that should work. That should work. Okay, so let's run this real quick and see if that gets rid of our created at. And indeed it does. Thumbs up. Okay, so now we're ready to get into adding some nav. So the first thing we need is another page to navigate to. So let's say that we're going to kind of recreate the same process that we did for the index. Let's make a folder called nav. And I'm going to do git mv, and we're going to move our index into here. So what do we need to do for that? Let's look at our build script here. So right now, I'm back up at the top. We start this out with a title. And what else do we do here? Index.md. Where do we go from there? Okay, we add that here. So we do need a temp index.md that we're working from. And then we remove it down here. So what do you say? What if instead of printing this line, let's move this into a special place. So we'll move this into a file. I'm just going to get rid of this here. And what we'll do instead is we'll do cat./nav index.md into temp index.md. So now we'll have nav index.md, and we'll just paste this in here. All right, so now we've got one of the things in our nav is going to be our index, our home page, if you will, and we need to have our contact page. So let's do nav contact.md. We'll call this contact. If you'd like to get in touch, here's how. Yeah, let's say AJ O'Neill. That's my name, by the way. And email address coolaj6@gmail.com. There we go. So we'll just put that information in there. This will be the start of our contact page. So let's go ahead and make that build as part of our build script. We'll go back into our build script. And probably way down here at the bottom, we probably just need to redo this entire thing. So let's go ahead and take this. And I'm going to do right above, we're going to copy this out. Do nav contact.md. My article name will be contact. Leave the created date empty. And I think that'll actually be good. And we'll also want to, this will be my article. Need to make sure we quote this. Whenever we're using a variable, it's always important to use quotes, especially with a sensitive command like rm-rf. And I'm actually going to replace down here, I'm going to replace that as well. So now these 2 bits of code are basically identical except for we've got contact and index. This is starting to look like a good case for an array or a loop is what I meant to say. It's starting to look like a good case for a loop where we loop over and we just change contact and index, or we do the same thing that we were doing before and loop over the nav directory and create everything that's in the nav directory. Now, I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to save that for tomorrow. But let's go ahead and see if this will build. So all we did was copy the same way we're building the index.html. Okay, didn't break index.html. That's good. And then we're going to see if we now have contact.html. And indeed we do. Excellent. So now we have 2 pages. Now we need some navigation to get between them. So let's go ahead and update our template. We have the Beyond theme we added in here. And the way that we're going to use this, I'm just going to give this to you. We'll go more into how all this stuff works later on. But we're going to just add a nav element here. And inside of it, we're going to add the title of our blog will be, let's see, I don't want to put class here. I want to put style here. I'm going to say font weight bold. And this will be beyond. We're just going to give this some stylization. So here's your first name, and then here's your last name. And this one we're going to do lighter. Don't worry about what this all means. We'll get into it much later. I'm just going to give this to you for free for now. We're going to create an unordered list. Notice all the HTML tags, whatever we begin, we have to end with the same tag name with a slash. All right, we're going to create a list item. That's what li stands for. So unordered list, ul, list item, li. And then we're going to have here, we're going to put an HTML link. And this one's going to be just slash, and this will be blog. And then we'll do slash contact.html. Actually, you know what? I don't like having the HTML extension. We're just going to have this be contact. And we're going to go change that loop a little bit. Or not that loop, but that render function a little bit. So here we're going to have contact. There we are. And that should work out. I'm going to put contact.html for now. Excuse me. Because we already did that work. Let's just get what we got working. Now, the style sheet that we included, nav normally doesn't particularly mean anything. And unordered list is typically just a bullet list, but we're going to make it, because of the style sheet that we included, that beyondtheme.css that's in our assets, it's going to change the way that that looks. You'll see. All right, let's refresh here. Okay. Oh, this is good. This didn't work the way that I expected, which is perfect. So here we have the default styles of what I just put in. So we got beyond code, blog, contact. Let me go ahead and make sure that I'm referencing the file as it exists. Yes, I am. And then I'm going to go down here. Beyond nav. Okay, so I do need a class on beyond nav. That's what it is. Okay. So the style sheet's there. I just didn't apply it correctly. Again, don't worry about learning this too much. I'm just kind of giving it to you right now. We'll go back. We'll learn about this later. Right now, we're just trying to get our blog to a more presentable place. And our main focus is so that we can be able to refactor tomorrow. We're just adding a little bit more to it. So now I've got beyond nav up here, and we're going to add a beyond footer as well. Again, typically footer doesn't really mean much in of itself. Most of HTML doesn't mean anything on its own. But we're just going to put, let's do a little, what is it? No, that's TM. Where's copyright? I think it's actually Alt-G. There we go. Let's put couple of things I like here. 2665. This, if you spell this out on a phone, it spells cool. And it's also the color pink. And it's also the heart. So kind of cool. A little number that has lots of meanings. All right, so we're just going to put a footer there. It's going to have a copyright. It's going to have a name. It's going to have a heart. Great. Wonderful. And we're going to have our nav. Okay, so let me save that. Let me rebuild this. And it's the style sheet that's going to cause these things to have a shape and form. Okay, that didn't quite turn out the way that I was expecting it to. So I'm going to go back and look at what's going on there. Oh, this looks perfect. This is great. Just what I wanted. The reason it's styled that way is because of that style sheet. And again, I did something a little bit wrong here. So let me go and check. So we got beyond nav, a, ul. Oh, okay. I think I see what needs to happen here. So if we click on the kind of the main area in the nav bar, we want it to take the person back to the home page. We want it to double over as the home page, which is also going to be the blog in this case. And so the way that this is styled is very particular, and it's looking for a link to be what it's selecting to style. So again, this is just context information right now. Okay, did we get it right? Ooh, not quite, not quite. Oh, it's because I did not actually do the deploy. Okay, there we go. Build and deploy, and there we are. Okay, cool. So now we have a blog page, comes to our blog, contact page goes to our contact, and the main big button is also a home button taking us back to our blog. So what we'll want to do in the future, once we've refactored this, is we'll want to have it so that beyond code is maybe the about page, the hello. This is where you'll replace beyond with your first name, code with your last name, and then we'll have these spaces for you to be able to put information there. Now you've got a fully functional, complete, beautiful, wonderful blog. We just need to refactor it, and you need to add more stuff that you're learning to it, and we're golden. So with that, I think we might just leave it at that for tonight. We got our navigation in there, and the navigation works on browser caching issue. I just hit refresh and everything looks good. Actually, there's one more bug I want to fix. So the minimum width of this text area is not set. So again, we're not talking about CSS too much right now, but this is just a little bug that we're going to fix. And actually, by the time that you watch this, this will probably be fixed in the place that we're copying and pasting from, unless you're watching live right now, which, by the way, let me see. We have any comments? No comments. Everybody's sleeping. I get it. You're tired. You go to bed. That's what a lot of people do. Whatever. Anyway, where was that? There was a min width. Oops. And just kind of a weird thing. We need to set the width to 100%, despite the fact that there's a min width and a max width, and you'd think it would just take the max width if it can, if the screen's wide enough. It actually doesn't. And let's try this one more time. Okay, and I'm going to make this smaller. Okay, cool. Whoops. Yeah, I'm just checking on the size here. So we happen to be right at that max width boundary. You can't see me making this wider, but okay, you can see if I make it smaller, it shrinks. It'll shrink all the way down to the min width. But if I make it wider, it goes up to the max width. And that 100% basically says, takes the maximum width, whatever width is available based on the minimum and maximum values, take the maximum of the available width, even if it's the minimum. That, I know that's kind of confusing, but basically it's saying your container space can be yay wide. And the space that you're using inside the container might only be this wide. Always use as much space as available inside of the container. That's kind of essentially what we're doing here. There's a container. Oops, let me see if I can highlight like this. So there's basically this container area. And if I make this smaller, then that container area still exists. It's just smaller, but if I make it wider and wider and wider, it has a max width. There, we just hit it. So we can make the page wider, but the container won't get any bigger. Likewise, we can make the page smaller, but at a certain point, the page doesn't get any smaller. And that setting it to width 100 means that if the content area is only yay big, expand the content area to fill the container. Okay, well, that was a little bit of a tangent, but I feel like this was good progress. What we need to do now is go ahead and add all of our new stuff. Everything that we've updated here. Oops, assets. Yep, our build script, our template. Let's update everything. And we're just going to commit this. Add contact page and nav. And then if I push, it's going to run the build on the server. And we should see, when we refresh, everything looks hunky-dory. And so it does. All right. Well, that's all for tonight. Tomorrow, we're going to take that bash script and break it down into little pieces. So if you want to watch that, go ahead and subscribe to the live stream in the description. You can see the link to that. If you want to subscribe to the playlist of the edited videos, that again is in the description. If this was useful for you, if you learned something, give it a thumbs up. And as always, any questions, comments, feedback that you have, leave it in the description. I will catch you next time.